Fleet Admiral Vex Thara studied the tactical display with predatory satisfaction. 47 Krathani dreadnoughts formed a perfect battle formation around the human vessel, their quantum phase cannons charged and ready. Each ship measured over 3 kilometers in length, bristling with weapons that could crack planetary crusts. The human warship floating helplessly in the center of their formation was barely 800 meters long, a pathetic excuse for military hardware by galactic standards. "Is this some kind of joke?" Commander Rolthek asked, his translator struggling to convey his amusement. The humans sent a cargo hauler to negotiate their surrender? Admiral Vex Thara activated the communication array, broadcasting on all frequencies, so her words would be recorded for Imperial history. Human vessel TFS Determination, you are surrounded by the 7th Fleet of the Krathani Empire. Your pitiful ship is outnumbered 47 to 1, outgunned by approximately 6,000 to 1, and outmassed by roughly 200 to 1. Surrender now, and your crew will be granted quick deaths. The response came from Captain Elena Santos, her voice carrying an odd note of amusement. Fleet Admiral Vex Thara, this is Captain Santos of the Terran defense ship Determination. Thank you for gathering your entire fleet in one convenient location. This will save us considerable time. The Krathani bridge crew erupted in laughter, a sound like grinding metal that their species used to express derision. Commander Rolthek wiped tears from his compound eyes. Save you time? Human, your ship doesn't even appear to have primary weapons arrays. He wasn't wrong. The TFS Determination looked like exactly what the Krathani assumed. It was a converted civilian vessel with minimal modifications. No visible missile ports, no energy weapon emplacements, no armor plating worth mentioning. The ship's hull was a simple durasteel construction that wouldn't withstand a single shot from a Krathani fighter craft. Admiral, reported sensor specialist Keek Ma, I'm detecting some unusual readings from the human vessel. There's a significant power buildup in their forward section, but it doesn't match any known weapon signatures. Admiral Vex Thara dismissed the report with a gesture. Probably their engines overloading. These primitive humans don't understand proper power distribution. She activated the fleet-wide channel. All vessels, prepare to fire. We'll vaporize this insult to military engineering and be home in time for the victory celebration. Captain Santos' voice cut through their preparations. Admiral, before you do something you'll regret for the remaining 30 seconds of your existence, perhaps you'd like to know what you're actually facing. Enlighten us, human. The TDS Determination isn't a warship in the traditional sense. She's what we call a glass cannon, a vessel designed around a single weapon system. Specifically, she's built around a Mark V II Stellar convergence cannon. Sensor specialist Keek Ma's readings spiked dramatically. Admiral, that power buildup, it's massive. I'm reading energy levels equivalent to a stellar core. Admiral Vex Thara felt the first flutter of unease. Impossible. No ship that size could generate stellar-level energy output. Their reactor would go critical. You're absolutely right, Captain Santos replied cheerfully. That's why we don't generate the energy. We borrow it. On the tactical display, the space around the TFS Determination began to shimmer. Reality itself seemed to bend as gravitational lenses formed around the human vessel, massive structures that were redirecting energy from the nearest star directly into the ship's forward weapon array. The Stellar Convergence Cannon doesn't use conventional ammunition, Captain Santos explained, as the energy readings continued to climb. It uses focused stellar radiation channeled through a series of gravitational lenses and quantum fold conduits. Essentially, we're turning your local star into our weapon. Commander Rolthek stared at his instruments in growing horror. They're manipulating gravitational forces on an astronomical scale. That should be impossible with their technology level. Humans have a saying, Captain Santos continued. If you can't build a bigger gun, build a smarter gun. We realized we didn't need to carry the energy for our weapons. We just needed to figure out how to aim a star. The forward section of the TFS Determination had begun to glow with an intensity that forced the Crethani view screens to automatically dim. The gravitational lenses around the ship were now clearly visible, massive rings of folded spacetime that were collecting and focusing stellar radiation into a coherent beam. All ships, emergency evasive maneuvers. Admiral Vex Thara commanded, but even as she gave the order, she knew it was too late. Her fleet was perfectly positioned in a tight formation, exactly where the humans had wanted them. Stellar convergence cannon charged and ready, Captain Santos announced. Admiral Vex Thara, you might want to record this for your military historians. This is what happens when you underestimate human engineering. The TFS Determination fired. The weapon wasn't visible in any conventional sense. Instead, space itself seemed to tear open as concentrated stellar energy, the equivalent of a solar flare, compressed into a beam, barely a meter wide, lanced through the Crethani formation. The first dreadnought simply ceased to exist. The stellar-level energy didn't destroy the ship so much as it converted the matter into its constituent atoms, which were then scattered across several light-years of space by the weapon's gravitational distortions. But the beam didn't stop there. The stellar convergence cannon's energy output was sufficient to penetrate anything in its path. The beam passed through the entire Crethani formation, erasing each ship it touched with casual efficiency. Dreadnoughts that had taken decades to build and represented the pinnacle of Crethani military engineering were reduced to expanding clouds of elementary particles in milliseconds. In exactly 3.7 seconds, 47 ships and their entire crews had been deleted from existence. Admiral Vex Thara found herself floating in an escape pod, the only survivor of her flagship's destruction. Her sensors showed empty space, where the most powerful fleet in Crethani history had been moments before. The TFS Determination hung motionless in the void, its weapon already powering down. Captain Santos' voice came through the emergency communication channel. "Admiral, you're the sole survivor of your fleet. I'm transmitting the tactical data from this engagement to Crethani High Command. When you return home, please convey this message. Humanity is not interested in conquest or expansion. We are, however, extremely interested in being left alone. Any future military actions against human space will be met with similar responses." The human warship engaged its FTL drive and disappeared, leaving Admiral Vex Thara alone with the expanding debris fields of her entire fleet. Her after-action report would be classified at the highest levels of Imperial security. The official version would claim the fleet had been destroyed by a previously unknown stellar phenomenon. The truth that a single human vessel had eliminated 47 dreadnoughts with one shot was deemed too dangerous for public knowledge. But within Imperial military circles, the story spread quickly. The humans had built a ship that could weaponize stars themselves. They had taken the fundamental forces of the universe and turned them into a precision instrument of war. Most terrifying of all, the TFS Determination was reported to be the oldest and least advanced vessel in the human stellar convergence fleet. The Crethani Empire quietly amended their expansion plans to avoid human space entirely. Admiral Vex Thara spent the rest of her career studying the sensor logs from that battle, trying to understand how the humans had achieved the impossible. Her final report contained a single recommendation that became Imperial policy: never underestimate a species that builds weapons by asking, "What if we could aim a star?" The TFS Determination, meanwhile, continued its patrol routes, its crew occasionally joking about the time they had to explain to aliens why making fun of human engineering was a very bad idea. After all, when humans built a warship, they didn't just want it to win battles. They wanted it to end wars.